Hey everybody, Neil Thompson from Teach the Geek here. I'm the founder. To learn more about it, go to teachthegeek.com and always remember to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Always trying to get as many subscribers as possible. So when it comes to giving technical presentations, what is one thing that I came to understand in order to get better at it? Well, that one thing was using stories. And I can tell you, when I first started giving presentations, I didn't think that stories were all that applicable to technical presentations. People are there to hear the facts and the data. Well, let me tell you something, especially if you're talking to a group of non-technical people, if you stick to just facts and data, they will tune you out. And I know this firsthand, and maybe you do too. So the idea of adding stories to your presentations certainly helps in keeping their attention. I give this presentation where I offer tips on how to improve technical presentations. And one of the tips is to get feedback. So I could just say, when it comes to giving technical presentations, it's important to get feedback, but don't just take the feedback that you get as gospel, run it through your own filter to make sure that it makes sense to you to implement it. And I could just move on to the next tip. But by telling a story about it, it really helps to crystallize the point of taking feedback into account, but still running it through your own filter. And a story that I typically use is when I was a member of Toastmasters. For those of you all that don't know, Toastmasters is an excellent organization. It's an international organization with chapters all over the world, and it helps with people improving their public speaking skills. It's an excellent forum to do so. I remember I was a judge in a speech contest. And what that essentially is someone gives a speech, and there are people, judges, I was one of them, who judge the speech, and then we see who wins. So when it comes to this particular story, I was one of the judges. There was two judges, and a person gave a speech. When they were done, I, as the judge, was focused on what the person said. I was really trying to figure out, was the story, what their presentation, was it easy to follow? Was it clear? And was there a call to action at the end of it? I mean, basically, what was the whole story about? What was the point of that person even giving that presentation, presenting in that speech contest? The other judge focused solely on nonverbal aspects of the presentation. In fact, one of the things that judge mentioned is that the person who gave the speech patted their right hand on their leg during the presentation. I didn't even notice. I was more focused on the verbal aspects of the presentations, because that's what I think is most important. But obviously, the other judge thought it was more the nonverbal. So now the person who gave the presentation has a choice to make. What should they focus on? Because if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. You have to focus on something first. Is it that, do I need to focus on the verbal part of my presentation or the nonverbal? And that's an instance in which you have to run it through your own filter. I have two people telling me basically two different things. So what should I do? Well, that person has a decision to make, and that's what it really comes down to when it comes to feedback. You can very well get feedback that is conflicting in some instances. I mean, I remember another story I tell has to do with eye contact. It's something that I've always struggled with. At least I thought so. But when I was a member of Toastmasters, I would often get the feedback, I need to improve my eye contact. But some people would say, you have great eye contact. So what do? Again, you have to run it through your own filter. So really, the use of stories in each example is just a great way of crystallizing the point that you're trying to make. And again, well, I guess I'll just end with, when it comes to feedback, because I have been talking about feedback a lot, I just want to reiterate the idea that don't just implement feedback because it's given to you, because you could get conflicting feedback. You can get feedback you disagree with. And if you try to do everything, you may end up having a confusing presentation, a presentation that's not easy to follow. And ultimately, that's the goal. You want the people who are listening to you to have as little difficulty as possible following what you're saying. So using stories when it comes to giving presentations is really helpful, especially if you're a technical person giving presentations in front of non-technical people, to really have them latch on to what you're saying and make it so that they don't look at their phones, they don't stare off into space, they don't fall asleep. And if they fall asleep, hopefully they don't snore. Well, that's my tip for the day. Tune in for the next one. Again, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Neil Thompson, founder of Teach the Geek, teachthegeek.com. Until next time, take care and stay safe.